Hello everyone, very good evening and welcome to StudyIQ IAS English. My name is Abhishek Singh and in this lecture today we are going to cover the second part of our temple architecture, in which we will be discussing about the next phase of the temple architecture development in India. And this phase will be basically about the cave temples, about the monolithic temples, in fact I would say, because the cave temples, that part was covered in the previous lecture only, and today we will be discussing about the next stage of the temple architecture development, which is related to the monolithic cave temples. Before proceeding, first of all, I hope that everybody is aware that exactly what is the meaning of monolithic. These are such marvelous temples which are actually constructed just by the single piece of the rock. It might be a huge rock, it might be comparatively a small rock, but overall only that one solid piece of rock is used to construct the entire temple, and that is why these temples are usually the architectural marvels in our history. In fact, some of you might have seen the monumental Ellora Kailash temple, which is basically cave number 16th of Ellora caves. That temple is probably the world's largest monolithic structure, and this is why it rightly deserves to be amongst the most deserving pieces of art for the world's new, for the world, in fact for the world's old. I would not say it new because usually the list is new, but the wonders of the world, if we consider it, that is obviously considered as, should be considered as the old wonders. In fact, there are the claims by many research institutions, many channels, and even there have been the programs on the various scientific educational channels on the cable TV, on the satellite television, that might be that aliens have constructed this temple. It looks so unimaginable. So what are the features, what are the specialities of these temples which have been constructed by the single piece of rock? We will find out in this lecture. So make it sure that you share this class with everybody and all the colleagues, all the friends or aspirants who are basically preparing for the next year's examination. But at the same time, also keep that in mind that we are launching our morning batches from the 11th of September, and these batches will be basically the one-stop solution for every candidate who is looking to clear the examination in the upcoming 2024. For that, you will be provided the batches in the English and Hindi, these three distinct media, as well as along with these every other requirement will be taken care of, be it the notes, be it the current affairs, prelims preparation, mains preparation, interview stage, everything. So for more details, you can check the application of StudyIQ, and in case if you decide to enroll for any specific program, especially for this P2I batch, do not forget to use this code ASR Live, which will be giving you the best fees, the maximum discount in the fees, and that will be very much helpful. So let's get back to the point, and so let's start today with the Ellora cave temples only. Where are these Ellora cave temples located? Dear students, the Ellora cave temples are basically located in Maharashtra, Aurangabad district. Okay. Overall, the number of the number of caves which is having basically, which it is having, there are total 32 Buddhist, Brahmanical and Jain caves. Okay, how many? 32 Buddhist, Brahmanical and Jain caves. Even though some of the sources claim that basically 34 caves are there, overall 17 related to the Brahmanism, 5 related to the Buddhism, Jainism, and 12 related to the Buddhism. However, NCERT class 11th Fine Arts, that particular book recognizes the fact that only 32 caves are there. So in case if UPSC asks this particular question, in that case you can simply stick to the 32 number. Okay everyone, make it sure. However, number is not as important as the importance of the cave itself is there. For example, if we talk about the Ellora caves as compared to the Ajanta caves, they are also located in Aurangabad only. They are also famous for their monumental work. They are well known, in fact most well known caves in the entire world. But the major difference is that when we talk about Ajanta caves, they don't have non-Buddhist, right? They don't have the non-Buddhist sculptures or paintings or any monuments. No chaityas, no temples, only the chaityas are there, okay? So we can say that Ajanta caves are exclusively Buddhist. They are exclusively Buddhist. Whereas when we talk about Ellora caves, remember the point that Ellora caves, they are connected with the Brahmanism, that is modern Hinduism, connected with the Buddhism, and also connected with the Jainism. Okay, and not only it is famous for it is only famous for its beautiful mural paintings. Okay. However, when we talk about Ellora caves, they are famous not only for the mural paintings but also for their beautiful sculptures, and at the same time, apart from the murals, sculptures, etc., they also have the great temple of Lord Shiva, right? Temple at Ellora cave number 16. So that means it has the painting, it has the sculpture, it has the temple. That means they are having wider architectural diversity at Ellora as compared to the Ajanta caves. I hope it makes sense to everybody. Now moving further, and let us just understand the basic feature of this cave temple. Why am I calling this temple as a monolithic temple? Because you can observe it in almost an aerial view. You can see this entire rock, right? This entire basaltic rock is there. This basaltic rock is basically carved out from top to bottom approach, and after that, when the outer structures were created, the inner structures were further refined and carved. You can see the great example of the structural engineering, where you are able to see that these pillars, these structures, they are extremely well synchronized. Not only that, if we try to look at this particular feature, right, where we have a very high plinth like structure, this appears as if there is the straight entry. It's like a landing strip which just allows the followers to enter into the temple. Not only that, when we talk about the other features of Ellora, just let me tell you that there are the monuments, there are the statues of two huge elephants and the lions, and it appears that these four animals, they have actually, there is the particular angle of projection. It appears like, suppose they have lifted the entire temple on their back. This is how, look at the imagination of the constructors of these temples. Okay, so this has to be considered as one of the most fascinating and architectural marvel in our cultural history, right? Question arises in our mind that who had constructed this particular temple. So guys, if I talk about Ellora caves, remember that the Ellora caves were actually constructed primarily during the Rashtrakuta rulers, during the Rashtrakuta dynasty rulers. In fact, if we talk about specifically cave number 16, which is famous for the Kailash temple, that particular cave was excavated under the reign of Krishna first. Okay, Krishna first, who belonged to probably the 9th century, Okay, however, let me make it very clear to everybody that Ellora caves, I just told you that there are 32 or 34 caves, and these caves, among them all, they have the different time durations of their construction, different periods of their construction. This is why we cannot attribute a single ruler's time span for the construction of the entire number of caves. It is very clear that different caves have been excavated at the different time phases. Alright, so we have to be specific about the Kailash temple because only that particular temple is the example of the monolithic temple. Otherwise, all others, either they are the caves or they are the sculptures on the wall of the caves. For example, when I am talking about the sculpture, you can see this great sculpture of Lord Shiva. Okay, this great sculpture of Lord Shiva who appears in a fierce form, and not only that, this is basically one of the sculptures which is not as famous as the second sculpture that is called as the Ravan, right? Ravan shaking the Mount Kailash. Okay, Ravan shaking the Mount Kailash. Now this particular sculpture, when I am talking about this sculpture, this Ravan shaking the Mount Kailash is basically well known for its sculptural genuinity. As you can see, the greatness in sculpting the minute figures as well as the Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati along with the seat on the Mount Kailash, right underneath whom we can see Ravan with his multiple heads trying to shake and lift the entire Mount Kailash. So we can say that Puranic narrations and the stories such as the ones related to the Shiva Mahapuran or ones related to the Bhagavad Puran or even the stories related to the Devi Bhagavat or Markandeya Puran, etc., even they are also depicted throughout these caves. In fact, Ellora caves also have got the scripting of Ramayana story with the help of small stone sculptures on the walls of the caves. So all these features, they make the Ellora cave temples outstanding as far as their architectural marvel is concerned. But if we talk specifically about the features of Kailash temple, as I told you that Kailash temple is present in the cave number 16. So basically this is dedicated to Lord Shiva, and not only that, developed under the patronage of Rashtrakuta King Krishna first, right, who ruled from 8th, right, during the century of 8th to 9th century, and this temple was not completed during Krishna first. As I told you, the construction duration, it was up to the 9th century, right? 8th and 9th century are the prime occasions. Now, When we talk about the other details, so here the sculpture on the wall of Kailash temple depicting the Ravan shaking the Mount Kailash, the sculpture which I showed to you, that very sculpture. Okay, and guys, remember that it is counted amongst the largest rock cut monasteries, which I have already discussed with you, and marked as the UNESCO World Heritage Site. UNESCO World Heritage Site. So it is really important to remember those famous monuments which are declared as the UNESCO's World Heritage Site. In fact, this has to be one amongst the earlier sites related to the historical significance, because relatively, if we talk about the places like Dholavira, which was declared probably in as late as in 2021, right? Whereas the Ellora, that is basically one of the older sites to be declared as the World Heritage. Now, apart from that, we also get to see the relief panels. What is the meaning of the relief panels, dear? Relief panels are basically those. Suppose if this is this board is entirely a wall. As I had discussed with you regarding the Gandhara and Amravati and Mathura style of arts, where I had shown that if in a wall, in a flat surface, you start sculpting the images by grooving the inner surface, by taking out the material from the flat surface and making the contours, right? That is what we call as the relief panels. On the relief panels, we usually get to see the sculptures, or we usually get to see the writings. More probably the relief panels, they have less thickness. Okay. Now, when we talk about the architecture of Ellora Kailash temple, architecture is basically Dravidian architecture, and this is inspired from the pre-existing temples in the Pallavas, right, as well as in the southern territories of the Rashtrakuta ruler. Okay, so that is why the architectural style of these temples, that includes the Dravidian style. Okay. Now, some of you might be having a question that, sir, when we don't see the structural temples yet, and you are saying that the rock cut temples or the monolithic temples, they came earlier. So let me make it very clear to all of you that I am not talking about the particular temple constructed at Ellora or at any other place. I am talking about the concept of constructing the temples or the places of worship by cutting a large single rock. That concept is definitely older than constructing the structural temples in India. Okay. For example, if you look at the pre-existing chaityas, etc., so those were also a type of the cave temples, isn't it, which were constructed by cutting the rocks and excavating those rocks, making it hollow from inside, and then constructing the temples or the chaityas. Similarly, there are other examples as well. Like if we talk about the Mahabalipuram architecture, even that is also connected with the monolithic structural art. How can we say that? I hope that most of you must have heard about the Mahabalipuram Rath Mandir. Mahabalipuram Rath Mandir. So these Ratha temples or the chariot temples, I would not say it chariot temples because it doesn't look like the chariot temple. I hope that anybody among you that who might have seen these temples, do you think that do they look like a temple or do they look like a chariot? I don't think that they look like a chariot or something, right? Rather, they are the huge rock pieces which are cut and carved and designed in this beautiful looking specimen, beautiful looking monument. And here all these structures, they are the monolithic structures. These monolithic structures, they also give you the best example of the earliest possible prototype of Dravidian architecture. Okay, earliest possible prototype of the Dravidian architecture, where you can see that on the rectangular or square base you see the another roof which is again rectangular or square with the receding surface area. So basically the ground on the roof, that is basically used less, and overall it gives the result, right? It gives basically the shape of a pyramid, okay, the shape of a pyramid. However, this pyramid is having a square base, right? A square base rather than a triangular base. Okay, everyone. So that is the very, very important. In fact, some of you might be thinking that all the pyramids are having the square base only. Guys, some of the pyramids might have a rectangular base as well, of course. So that is also a possibility. Okay, remember that. Now here let me tell you that this temple looks entirely different. So this is having the inspiration from, do you remember the previous lecture? Yes, everyone. Inspiration from the vaulted roof, right? The vaulted roof of Chaityas. We have already studied like, okay, in the I think previous to previous lecture. So you can see that it looks like a Chaitya, but when you will go from inside, you will observe that the earliest structures of the roof, the earliest designs of the roof in the temples, they were heavily influenced by the pre-existing Buddhist sculpture or Buddhist structures. Okay, everyone. So these are basically the Ratha temples of Mahabalipuram, and let me tell you that these Ratha temples from Mahabalipuram, they are called as the Panch Rathas. And why so? Because there are total 5 Rathas. Okay. In our cultural history, if anything is 5 in number, we name them by the Pandavas. But let me make it very clear that neither the Pandav Leni of Nashik nor the Pandav Rathas of Mahabalipuram, none of them, in fact both of them, have nothing to do with the Mahabharat heroes or Pandavas. They are basically called as the Pandav Rathas because when these 5 Rathas were constructed, the Pallavas, they named it so, and that's why it became famous by that name. Okay. Now we have the several justification stories. We have the several examples citing the references to justify the names. But we usually don't have the standard references in Mahabharata, etc., which tells us that in any point of time Arjuna had, or any of the Pandavas had visited the coastal areas of the Indian Ocean where we have the Mahabalipuram. Alright. So the name of the Rathas on the name of the Pandavas: Dharmaraj Rath, that is the largest one; Bhim Rath, Arjun Rath, these are the 3 Rathas, and in the last 2 Rathas which are comparatively smaller, in fact the 5th Ratha is that is the smallest. The 5th Ratha is given or named after Draupadi, and the 4th one, that is actually named after the twin Ashwini Kumar brothers, right? Sorry, the son of the twin Ashwini Kumars, that is Nakul and Sahdev. So these are the basic nomenclatures. But guys, Mahabalipuram is not only famous for their rock cut Rathas or monolithic Rathas, they are more famous for their rock cut caves called as Mandapam. Okay, so what are these rock cut mandapams? For example, if you see this particular picture, okay, this particular picture, it looks like a simple ordinary cave, okay, simple ordinary cave where partial modification is done, and you can see the outer surface of the cave is given a specific style, and here you can also see that there is a wider entrance which is having the pillars, okay, the pillars, and just as you enter the cave, you will have a balcony or veranda, on the wall of which we have very beautifully sculpted statues or beautifully sculpted specimens belonging to primarily the Puranic narrations, the Puranic stories. Like for example, this is basically the story of Mahishasura Mardini. You can see the lion and the goddess Durga who is mounted on the lion. You can see Mahishasur wearing a crown and having the horns like a buffalo, having the face and snout like a buffalo, right, like a buffalo. Okay, so these things are indicative of the Puranic stories being depicted through the stone sculptures in the rock cut monolithic cave temples, Okay, everyone. Now here if we tell you that there are not just these examples, but also we have the other examples, like as I told you that from the front side, that particular mandap was looking absolutely plain, absolutely harmless. But as you go to the rear side, or as you go to the sidewise, you will observe these intricately carved structures of the rock cut monuments. And let me tell you very frankly that these rock cut monuments, right, these rock cut monuments are basically some of the finest examples of the artisanship, where you can identify, not only a small statue or small sculpture as small as, look at this one here, there are the deers, the pair of the deers, and it looks like basically a sage who is writing down something. Then we have the antelopes or the deers here as well. We have the lion and deer. That is a repeated pattern. Okay, repeated pattern here. You can see lion, deer, okay, then lion and deer, like that. Here you will also find out to see the descent of Ganga. What is picturized there? The descent of Ganga. So here this is basically it looks like somebody is doing tapasya or penance. This picture looks like the Arjuna's penance. This is basically called as the meditating cat. Let me just change the color of the ink so that you can watch it. Okay, meditating cat. Okay, this is the one. And here you can see the image of Sheshanag. Okay, here you can see probably Arjun doing the penance. All right. Not only that, you can also view the image of Lord Murugan. Okay, Lord Murugan. All right, everyone. So here you can see that number of such scenes, such stories which are told to us in the Puranic narrations, in the various tales and various folk legends of Hinduism, we can clearly observe such type of sculpture art on the back side of our mandapa cave temples in the Pallav dynasty's kingdom. Okay, everyone. Now we have another great specimen, another beautiful monolithic rock cut temple called as the Badami cave temple, called as Badami cave temples. Got it? When we talk about the Badami cave temples, guys, Badami cave temple also has Jainism as well as Hinduism, both the religions represented through the cave temple architecture through a monolithic pattern. Why was there the presence of both Jainism as well as Brahmanism? Because the Chalukya rulers, some of the Chalukyas were also Jains. Okay, if not the Chalukyas, then probably the ministers of the Chalukyas were Jain. That's why the Jain specimens were also given proper focus, proper attention. Okay, now, so when we talk about the Badami cave temples, remember the name. These are located in the Karnataka region, the northern Karnataka, right, northern Karnataka. And as Badami was the capital of Chalukya, so mostly they constructed their architectural marvels at this particular place. Here there are total 4 cave temples. How many? Total 4 cave temples are there related to the Hinduism and Jainism. Okay, related to the Hinduism and Jainism. In Hinduism, we have both Vaishnavism as well as Shaivism. Okay, so there could be a question in the prelims examination from this particular point of view. Suppose consider these statements, right? Consider this statement. Statement 1 says that Ajanta and Ellora are specifically related to Buddhism. Okay, Buddhism. And then second statement is like Elephanta and Badami caves. Elephanta and Badami caves are having the Shaivite sculptures. Okay, and you have to choose that what is the correct statement, or which one is the correct statement, and your options will be like only one or only two or both of them or none of them. Okay, this is a simple question, very simple question, where we can see that Ajanta and Ellora are specifically related to the Buddhism. This statement becomes a wrong statement because Ajanta is related specifically to the Buddhism, but Ellora is not specifically related to the Buddhism. That is related to the Buddhism, Jainism, and most importantly to the Brahmanism. The highest number of caves in the Ellora, they are dedicated to the Brahmanism. Okay, Elephanta and Badami caves are having the Shaivite sculptures. Now this statement is a little bit confusing because it does not make clarity about only these caves are having the Shaivite sculpture, or these caves are having only Shaivite structure. They don't make it very clear. So for the time being, let us consider that they are talking about just a possibility. Like are there any Shaivite caves at basically Elephanta and Badami? So we should be saying yes, there are. Yes, there are. Okay, so right answer would be here option number B. Only the second statement is correct. Second statement is correct. Alright everyone. So you can look at the Badami cave temples, it looks something like that. It has been beautifully taken care, and it just a huge mountain, on a huge mountain it has. Just we have to go inside that, and it is actually a hollow rock which is having the huge temple inside. How does it look from inside, by the way? So if we try to understand the Badami caves, as I told you that there are total 4 caves. Look at this one, right? In the first one we have the relief of Harihar. Harihar is basically half Vishnu and half Shiva, plus we have the temple of Lord Shiva as Nataraja. So guys, before the Cholas' very famous bronze Nataraj statue, Lord Shiva was represented as Nataraj by the Chalukyas during the Badami cave sculpture. Okay. Then in the second cave we have the dedicated, that is primarily dedicated to the Vishnu. This is the largest relief which belongs to Lord Vishnu as Trivikram, if we see that, whereas there are other sculptures also belonging to Lord Vishnu in his Vaman avatar form. Okay. Vaman, Varah, all of them are actually related to Lord Vishnu, which is present in the second cave of this particular group. Okay. Now, you can see the pictures here. Probably it looks like Lord Vishnu is sitting here and having the 4 hands properly. You can see, and behind his head there is a shadow of Sheshanag. Okay. And here are basically the walls with the pillar-like structure having the intricate and detailed carvings in the center of the pillar, as well as in the bottom and the top of the pillar is also highly decorated. You can see a circular relief panel where almost like a 2D picture is drawn with the help of this sculpture. Okay, and this image is basically related to the Trivikrama. This is another image. You can see here, this is a huge feet, and probably the face is not very clear, but you can identify that it looks like a Varah, because on the one side you can see goddess Earth who is being saved. Okay, so this is basically Trivikram, this is a Varah, and this is Lord Vishnu. Trivikram, Varah and Lord Vishnu, all of them are depicted in this cave. Cave number 3, that is the largest cave in this entire complex and also has the similarly Trivikram, and then Anantashayan, Vasudev, Varah, Harihar, Narsimha, all of them related to Lord Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. Okay everyone. And in the 4th cave, that is basically a Jain cave which is related to the structures of Bahubali, Parshvanath, Mahavir, and they are shown symbolically to contain the informations or the detailings of the other Tirthankaras as well. Okay everyone. So here you can see Lord Mahavir just here, right? He is present there in the 4th cave, and just in the backdrop of this image you can see that there are other Tirthankaras who are also depicted on the sidewards of this particular statue. Okay. So this is how we can say that India had a very rich cultural tradition of constructing the rock cut temples, but in tomorrow's class we will be covering up the most awaited section, that is the structural temples. So tomorrow we will try to understand, try to know about that, how many types of temples are there in India, and if we talk about the types of the temples, so what are certain special features on the basis of which these types are actually divided. Okay, so stay tuned with me. Let's meet live tomorrow once again at 4 p.m. on the very same place. Therefore, if you have not subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe it and hit the bell icon so that you can get the notification also. And in case if you are actually looking forward to start your preparation for 2024 Civil Services examination, then here is the great opportunity for you that we are starting our morning batches from 11th of September. So do check these courses. They are having the tremendous features like the current affairs coverage, like the exhaustive coverage of the syllabus, as well as the programs like mains residential program, which makes it very unique offering. It is because suppose if you are able to clear the prelims under this program, you are a student and you clear the prelims examination. After that, StudyIQ will be calling you at the Delhi NCR campus. You will be provided the free stay and food without any extra charge. That is a very outstanding. It is almost you can say unbelievable type of opportunity for any student who is very serious for preparation. That's why do register for it. Use the code ASR live and you will be getting the best fees in this. So thank you so much for watching it, guys. Take care. Bye bye and have a great day. Let's meet tomorrow at 4 p.m. Bye bye.